Hi everyone, April Cox here. I am with an author of my Self-Publishing Made Simple course. Rula, welcome, and thank you for allowing me to record this for others. So the question that Rula had today was, how do you go about getting really good keywords? So Rula's book has a lot to do with anti-bullying, and we're going to just walk through some steps together that will help you understand the process that I go through. And some of these things you can do yourself. Others, if you need help, I can help you along with it. The first thing I do is I want to find the best of the best books in your niche. So by finding really good categories like emotions and feelings, friendship, things like that, you may be able to really vet out what are the really great books that are doing well. Middle school, the worst years of my life. So I just kind of make note of what are these books that are really relevant. And first thing I do is come in here and grab the ASIN. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this keywords link. And this opens up Helium, which is my favorite tool to use to get really powerful keywords. Now, Helium has a ton of different features. This feature that I just clicked on, which is called Cerebro, is a reverse ASIN lookup. What that means is you're putting this keyword here so you can see it pre-filled, that ASIN that I put there. And it will take that ASIN and show you everything that it is indexed for. So if you've got an anti-bullying book that is like #1 in a number of categories, it's doing phenomenally, and you say, gee, if I only knew what they were indexed for, like what are their keywords, that is exactly what this reverse ASIN lookup does within Helium. It also gives you this word cloud kind of thing. And it shows you the books that it is typically, frequently bought with. So these are other middle school parts of the series. I love Diary of a Wimpy Kid. So I'm going to take that ASIN and I'm going to say, I want that one too. So let's just say you end up with 3 or 5 and you put them here. I'm going to go and grab one more, which is Juicebox Bully, because I have an anti-bullying book and I've done this before. I just know that there are certain ones that really are more applicable for me. Empowering kids to stand up to others. This is Juicebox Bully. So I am going to just go and grab the ASIN from this one as well. And then I'm going to go in here and add it. And I'm sure if we poked around longer, we could get other books. I'm going to do a new search instead of loading from my history. Now, looking at these 3, we see a total of 15,000 keywords. Of them, 14, and this is specific for this one, right? This one has 14,000 organic keywords. They're not paying for any keywords. If they were, you'd see the number of sponsored keywords, and it says Amazon recommended keywords. So it gives you this list, which can be really overwhelming. People are like, okay, what the heck do I do with this? Why is this important? Well, what I will typically do is I'll come in here and say, look, I want a minimum of 500 searches a month. I want a score, and this is their Cerebro internal score for this book. So I want the score to be at least 500, and I can go into, Helium and scoring and things like that at another time, another video. But then I go into advanced filters, and one of the things that I also want to make sure is that I don't have a high number of competing products, because if there's a lot of competition on a keyword, you're not going to rank well. I want that magic of high volume searches, lower competition, so that I can really do well. So now I'm down to 652 keywords because I filtered them out. The tool itself shows me the keyword phrase. Okay, so Diary of a Wimpy Kid is very popular. It gets a lot of search volume, but I think, right, so there's a number of these that are specific to Diary of a Wimpy Kid. In the free version, you can't order by categories, or you can't like click on something and say, show me, in this order. I want the lowest number of competing products. Let's see.
Now, April, I think helium, isn't it? Don't you have to have an Amazon seller's account?
No, but if you do have one, there's some extra features that it does.
Oh, okay.
If you want to connect it to your Amazon seller account, it does all kinds of like extra fancy stuff.
Okay.
That I have probably not even scratched the surface with at this point. So if I was just looking at like really low competition keywords, Miss Markley leaves no reader behind. Some of these are really Diary of a Wimpy Kid deep end. There's only 23 people that are using this as a keyword. And look at the number of search volume that it has. The Cerebro score, the higher the score, the better. So this looks like a really good keyword.
Right.
And one of the things that I love about this tool when I'm looking at their feedback, I can click on this arrow, and what does it do? It takes me to that exact search term on Amazon, and I can look at, who's coming up for that keyword, like what other books are using it. The other tool that I really love is called KD Spy. Again, it is a plugin for Chrome. What I love about KD Spy is you can see, here's Diary of a Wimpy Kid, deep end. It's got all of the people that are using, or say, here's the top 20 that are using this keyword. You are able to see a lot of information about them. For example, what's the price that they're charging? What's their number of monthly sales? What's their monthly revenue? So you can be looking at your niche and you can be seeing what they're making every month, basically. And this all comes from back-end data from Amazon. So the deep end, it's got an estimated 10,000 sales a month. And the monthly revenue it generated from that book is $128,000 a month. So you can see a lot of information about these different things that you're doing. You can also see at the bottom, this is Kindle versus book data. Oh. So it looks at the Kindle side. You can also click over here and take a look at the book side. It's pulling the data from print books instead of Kindle. And you see that it's slightly different. There's a lower number that are using that keyword. It still gives you the revenue from the print side of that. It shows you the number of reviews they have, the sales rank. Now, if you look at average monthly revenue, you can see on average, on the print side, these books make about $10,000 a month. Average sales rank for these books is really high, meaning, it's not going to be that hard to get in here and, most of us can rank under 1 million. So if I saw this was like 500, I'd be like, okay, chances of me getting to the top 500 and being able to compete with these guys is probably not the greatest. But 1 million, sure, I could probably deal with that. It also allows you to jump into the word cloud, and you can see, okay, of all of these that you're looking at, what are some of the words that are used more often in their descriptions, in their keywords. So you can see the word cloud. You can also, if I go back here, what I love is this red, yellow, green, right? So they give you a stoplight kind of feature for popularity of a book, potential of a book, and competition. So we already know that it's great with regard to competition. We could see that in the other tool, in the Helium, that there's not a lot of competitors out there using this term. Potential, it says, caution, the revenue potential of books under this keyword looks a little average. Well, if average is roughly $10,000 a month, I'll take it. So popularity, there's only a small number of books performing well for this keyword. And this is because there's only a small number of books actually using the keyword. So this keyword tool doesn't tell me how many searches a month it gets, but I get that in Helium.
Okay.
This one gives me, the stoplight features. It gives me a lot of incredible information. It even has an export. Like if I say, gee, I really would love to hang on, like this is a great keyword, I want to export all the information. You can use the keyword this tool to export all of this information for yourself. So this is a phenomenal keyword phrase. I can look at it here. For a Kindle, it's green across the board. And if you look at the average monthly revenue on the Kindle side for these keywords, and I know, yes, we're looking at really popular books because it's those books that are under this series that are actually using the keyword, but it's got, pretty high monthly revenue. You might see here, okay, it's the average price is only $9 for these books. But again, this is the ebook.
But it's a Kindle.
So it's $9 for an ebook. So, we've got The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Invisible Boy, sure sounds like an amazing anti-bullying book to me. The Jelly Donut Difference, Middle School, The Worst Years of My Life. Now, this is a movie. So then you have to think, okay, this is a really applicable thing for anti-bullying, but it is a movie. Do I think that people searching for this movie, if they happen to see my book there as like a sponsored ad, would they perhaps think, oh, I'm interested in that. Let me go take a look at it. Perhaps. And sometimes, if I'm not sure, I'll just leave it there, throw it into an ad. Some of these things are going to surprise me. Some of the things I think are going to do really well don't. And then I just get rid of them. And others, I'm like, wow, who would have thought that would have been, such a great keyword for me? A part of it is just getting through. Like here, It Chapter 1 and 2 DVD set. Somehow this book or this DVD is using some of these keywords. It's getting a very high search volume, so it got, pulled into my keyword list. If I'm going to go through and look, one by one, I might want to delete some of these. Sometimes I go through that, sometimes I don't, because if I'm looking at this, I've got 652 keywords all around anti-bullying. And if I don't want to bother going through every single one, what I'll do is I'll just export it. And I love that from Helium, I can just export things. I'll export it into Excel. I'll put this aside. I'll copy those keywords into an ad and then just let them run and see what happens. If it's not a good keyword, I might get impressions, but I'm only going to pay for clicks. So who cares? If it's not a good keyword and nobody clicks on my book when they search for that keyword, it doesn't hurt me. So I just click Excel, export to Excel, and here you go. Let me explain a little bit about each of these columns. So we have the keyword phrase, the Cerebro score, and in Helium, if you want to pay some attention to the Cerebro score and go, they'll explain to you how they come up with the number. All you really need to know is the higher the score, the better the perceived value of that keyword is. It has the number of searches per month. So I'm just going to do this. Searches, hold on, enable editing. Just to make it easier for you when you're going back and looking at this stuff later. Searches per month. I'll do that. So that way there's no confusion. Number of competing products. And I think I limited it to 600. I wanted no more than 600 competing products. And I would say I usually like to keep it around 500 because that's where the competition ends up being green. Like, okay, you're good. You don't have that many people competing for that same keyword. The CPR 8-day giveaways. With this is kind of a confusing column. What it means is sell this many in 8 days to rank on page 1. That's what it really means. So you can kind of get a sense of, wow, if I do well, if I sell 40 in 8 days, I can be number 1 or on the first page for this term. Okay, so I'm changing the column titles to make it a little easier. Sponsored ASINs. So this tells you how many people are paying for that keyword. So The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ludwig, that exact phrase is being paid for by 40 people. Okay.
Should you use any words that you have in your title or subtitle? Or is that given?
Your subtitle and your title and all of that are going to be ranked for your book. I mean, they're going to be indexed for your book. And you can bid on those terms so that other people don't grab, like if you've got a great anti-bullying book, let's just take the example of these Diary of a Wimpy Kid. When somebody searched for Diary of a Wimpy Kid, my book comes up every time. That's kind of odd. Like I've just hijacked all their traffic. So they may
Oh, okay.
want to pay to make sure that nobody can hijack their traffic.
Hijacked,
You
right.
know what I mean? So that's it's something that can easily be helpful. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save as, I'm going to call it anti-bullying keywords for Rula. And I'm just going to throw it on my downloads. So this is kind of what I do. I'm a bit of a geek with analysis. I like to go and search and get a number of really great keywords. I test them out in my ads, see what works, what doesn't work. I've been putting a resource library of a bunch of stuff that I've done to share with others that might be helpful for them. So one of the things that I've been doing is coming up with really amazing keyword lists that people could benefit from. So I'll give you an example. And Rula, I'm going to give this to you because you and I have been working together. You're in my work group. We've been talking about keywords, and I just think that this would be really helpful for you.
This is your 1,000 words?
1,000 keywords that have a minimum of 700 searches a month. It has no more than 500 competing products, which means it's going to end up being green across the board,
Right.
typically with all these. This is like some of my best work ever, and it's all around the children's books. What I would expect people to do is not just, grab them, although if it was me, I'm going to take this, I'm going to throw it into an ad for my anti-bullying book. But it's not just anti-bullying stuff. I'm going to throw it in because you're allowed to have 1,000 keywords in per ad. And I just want to see what happens when I throw them all in and which ones of these keywords that are amazing keyword phrases. And you can see Aesop's Fables for Children with Pictures, Getting Piano Books for Children, 1,183 searches per month. I can think of 2 or 3 children's books that I know that are, music books. Would be an amazing phrase for her. Curious George board books. They have 924 searches per month, and they have very little competition for that keyword. So I've done a ton of research. I spent many hours pulling this stuff together, and I'm going to give it to you. So, and anybody else that is interested in, getting access to some of this, I'm also adding it to my resource library.
Most people would think that you just need Amazon or even Publisher Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes far beyond that. So I would think that you would need all 3 to maximize and to get the best, because
that's a really, really great point. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no,
Publisher
okay.
Rocket, I do have and use quite often Publisher Rocket. KDP Rocket is an amazing tool. I do use it whenever I do analysis, but I use it a little bit differently. If I am looking for competitor analysis book for kids, let's just see what this does. So this I kind of find interesting. This is valuable because remember, we were looking around trying to get, what are the best-selling books in this niche. So by going into the competition analyzer, it's going to show you the ones that are, highly ranked, and also give you the ability to say, hey, show me what categories. You can kind of click in. The price, it shows this daily sales, monthly sales for this book, which is cool. You can click, check it out, and actually go through the actual listing on Amazon. You can also click unleash the categories. And now in this anti-bullying phrase, this shows all the categories that are being used by these anti-bullying books. Now, if you're looking for categories that may fit with your book, what a great way to do this, like to just pull category information, and then it allows you also to export the categories. Now, maybe this thrillers and suspense has nothing to do with, your hippos anti-bullying, but friendship does, bullies does, emotions and feelings. So it gives you some really good places to look, and you can copy these categories. So this is a positive thing with KDP Rocket. Let me just go back for a couple of other things here. So you can export competition data if you want to, and you can also do an AMS keyword search, which is so anti-bullying book for kids. Now this is helpful, and sometimes when, if I've done a lot of stuff on Helium, I've used keywords and I'm like, okay, now I've done everything, but now I just want to refresh something. I want to do something a little different. I might come into this keyword search here, put a phrase that, usually you have maybe 5 or 10 really good keyword phrases that you will find your book does the best for. So if I have this and I want to do it for my book, not the ebook, and I click Go Get 'em Rocket, it's going to go out there. It's going to get all of these phrases, but it's also going to populate all of the books that are within these categories that have used this keyword, names of the books, names of the authors, and it gives you this great keyword list that you can export and try in an Amazon ad. So I do like this, and I'm going to export it for you. So here now I'm going to save this, and I'll send that to you as well. So I might just see what Publisher Rocket does, and I'll make one ad for Publisher Rocket keywords that I got, another ad for the ones that I got out of the other, because who knows? It's all about trial and error. What I really love about Publisher Rocket more than anything, it's the absolute best out there tool for finding really great categories and to know exactly the competition that you have in your categories so that you can become a best-selling author. Because if you find those categories that have less competition, more targeted for your niche, then you will be able to rank and become a #1 new release and then a bestseller in that category, in that Amazon category. So it is really phenomenal for that. And maybe I'll save that for another video where I'll talk about the KDP categories and what I've done with that. For anyone who wants some additional help from me, check out underneath the video, and I've got a link for a free consult. So I'm able to chat with you about your specific needs and help you with some of this if you need some help. Take care.